Hi, I'm Dawn.
It's going to be dawn today. It's like, sometimes it's rain, sometimes it's dawn.
Oh, fuck, yeah. I'm Rain.
And this is Raven Wind.
I've been on my Dawn Rain account too much lately.
And you're listening to the Feather and Bone podcast, Two Witches talking about everything witchy and nothing at all.
You were looking, I'm like, what? I need something to drink.
Okay.
I know.
You get yourself something to drink.
Oh, and it's going to be tea.
Okay. So today we're doing the second part of our 3-part series on Jinxes, Hexes, and Curses. I figured I'd do just another quick recap. A Jinx is a form of malevolent magic where the subject gets bad luck, minor misfortunes. It's simple, nasty, but it's not meant to seriously harm anyone. Usually lasts just a little while. So today we're going to be talking about the Hex, which is the next one. A Hex is a form of malevolent magic, more powerful than a Jinx. It usually lasts longer and can be broken when the subject learns their lesson.
Do you want some cookie dough?
No.
Are you sure?
I am positive.
Okay.
And then the next episode will be about curses, and a curse is the most powerful or more powerful than the other two. And if done well, it can last a lifetime or even longer. You can cast it on a person or a family, objects, land, a home, whatever. And it can last forever or until something is done to atone for whatever caused them, the item or the person to be cursed. So today we're going to talk about hexes.
I have something to say.
Okay.
The big curse that I worked on for a year.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those ones where it only works until they atone, because there is no way in hell they could atone.
Right.
For what they did.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. So I have several websites that I pulled this information from. 3 of them come from Pathos. So if you go on Pathos and you search for the truth of a witch that can't hex, can't heal, that's one of the articles that I found on there. And then another one is on Pathos, you look up Witch of the Wood with Ravenwood. And then another one from Pathos was Irish American Witchcraft 21st Century Hex.
That face you made after you said Ravenwood.
Yeah.
You look just like your father when you did that.
Did I?
Remember that time I saw him?
Yeah.
He was giving me that face expression.
Ah.
It actually made me stop for a second.
Like what does the face look like?
Just I can't even do it. I can't even do it.
But does it convey anything? Like, what was the look conveying?
I'll have to think about it.
Because what I was thinking after I finished that was did I read that right?
It was I don't even know.
Another website was WendyRoseBrews.com, BlackWitchCoven.com.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then there's oh God, I'm probably going to say this wrong.
We might have to change our coven name now.
AltaObscura.com.
Let me see. I got nothing.
It's AltaSobscura.com. And then thoughtco.com. Are the websites. Now, like I said in the last podcast, I find all this information and then I copy and paste it into what I feel like would flow well for the podcast. So I can't tell you who said what during this, just that those are the websites that I used. So that way no one's thinking that I've plagiarized or anything like that. Stuff that I'm saying come from those websites. It's not me. We're going to be throwing little ideas of our own in the middle. But anyway, so just kind of because I was thinking the other day, I don't want anyone to listen to this and think that I wrote any of this, because I didn't. I'm a writer. I know what it's like when someone plagiarizes your stuff.
You had somebody plagiarize your identity for that mark.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Look, I've already sidetracked you.
Yeah, if we have time at the end, like, it has absolutely nothing to do with this. If we have time at the end, because I got a lot to get through.
And I have to talk about, I'm going to tell everybody about Mary Catherine Saxon's Witch Box.
Yes, and we're also going to do a video on that. So if you're a part of the Facebook group, you can find us on Facebook, Feather and Bone. Our photo, there's a couple Feather and Bones on Facebook, but ours is the one that's white, and it has a photo of stag horns and feathers. So you can also find links to our Facebook group through the website, featherandbone.net. But anyway, so, when we start talking about hexes and cursing, there is a little bit of overlap about what exactly constitutes a hex and a curse. And a lot of that has to do with the modern thinking that both are evil or quote unquote black magic. So they've been lumped together by the harm none crowd, hexing and cursing. The main thing that I found that separate a hex from a curse is the intent. Hexes, while they can be quite nasty, usually aren't life-endingly bad. And I mean that both like metaphorically and like speaking in all actuality. Like a curse, can be and has often been geared toward actually ending a person's life by actual death, or ending their life as in all of the things that they're used to and having in their life are no longer with them.
I'm a Reiki practitioner.
Yes.
One time I had, I don't know if he called himself a shaman, or he was like certified in 8 million different modalities of energy work. And he told me you can kill someone by spinning their chakras backwards.
Oh, yeah?
I've never heard that anywhere else, but
I would imagine that would be something that would take a while, though.
That's what I would think.
Like, I think that would be something that you would have to energetically be working on for a very long time for it to do. I mean, it's not like you're going to start turning it and then all of a sudden they're dead. I don't think it would work that fast.
It shouldn't, because you know me when I get pissed off.
Well, yeah.
I've never tried that on anybody.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, a hex is sort of a milder version of harm on someone, and a curse is a full-on attack on someone with the illest of intentions. Of all the things that kind of separate the pagan community, I think that this is it. Hexing, cursing, doing what is quote unquote darker magic. Really separates the pagan community.
I wouldn't call it dark magic. I'd call it being a fucking human doing
magic.
Well,
and I just call it magic. I mean, as to me, it doesn't. There's not. Just like there's no one person that is fully evil. There's no one person that's fully good. Just example. Just the other day in the news, there was some news story about this man who had bought all of the Girl Scout cookies from this troop, so that they could get out of the cold. It was a really bad cold day. So he's like, I will buy all of them. And then, I guess a few days later, he got arrested and found out he was a heroin dealer. And everyone was like really losing their minds. It's like, listen, he's still a person. Just because he's a heroin dealer doesn't mean that his good act of buying all those Girl Scout cookies to get those little girls out of the cold, so no one is 100% good and no one's 100% bad. And magic is the same way.
He was buying cookies. So when he was selling weed to his weed customers, he could also sell them the munchies to go after.
Yeah. Well, and bitches love some Girl Scout cookies.
Aren't they called Samoas?
Well, there's the Samoa.
That's my favorite. All the others don't exist in my mind.
Thin Mint. Thin Mint is my favorite. But as far as like the pagan community, to some, whether you curse, hex, whatever, it's like an absolute moral issue. To others, it's more of a matter of pragmatism. So on this issue, at least there seems to be very little room for negotiations between, those two camps of thought. Whether it's okay or not okay. Common questions about hexes are, what about karma, or will I be harmed? What about the witch's rule of do no harm?
Karma is not punitive.
I knew that was going to get you.
If you don't feel like you're doing some. Okay, how many people you see do shitty stuff and nothing ever happens to them? Like my first fucking husband.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of a criminal is that asshole?
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Nothing bad ever happens to him. Guess what? Karma's not coming after him because he doesn't see anything wrong with what he's doing at the time, which leads back to the law of attraction. He's thinking he's not doing anything wrong, so nothing bad's coming back on him because he's not attracting it with his thoughts.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something magically that in your mind you're not doing anything wrong, no, nothing bad is not going to come back to you.
Yeah.
It's simple, people. Think. Use your brains.
You know, and I have, like, I think that if you're at, like, and this is also, like, I agree with this. This is a statement that I found online, but I agree with it wholeheartedly. If you're asking those kind of questions, you know, you're probably not ready to be doing hex work and curse work and stuff like that.
It reminds me telling people, oh, if you do something bad's going to happen to you. You might as well just convert and become a fucking Christian and start going to church where you're going to be afraid of burning in hell for all eternity because it's the same goddamn thing.
She got worked up. You can either choose to be a victim or you can choose to protect yourself. I mean, that's how I look at cursing and hexing.
Sorry about that noise, guys. His dog collar's hitting the water bowl while he drinks.
So, you know, in the harm none approach and the threefold law, those are extensions of the Western interpretation of karma. Karma is a complex construct that has nothing to do with cursing and hexing, but about the general operating principles of the universe. Karma, if you believe in it, plays out over a lifetime, sometimes several lifetimes. It's not happening in minutes. Misunderstood karma, harm none, and the threefold law is basically ways that you limit your power. Agreed. So, you know, what they're saying, and we've talked about karma in other podcasts. You know, it could take a lifetime before karma catches up to you.
And another thing. This threefold law thing, I can't do anything bad, it'll come back on me 3 times. That's the same thing as Christians saying, we can't sin. Our name won't be in the book of life or whatever you want to call it. It's like, ugh!
Yeah.
I'm getting angry.
Well, and I, you know, and maybe that just my idea of what being blessed might be might be different to someone else. But I look at people who are really stout believers in that, you know, that it comes back on you 3 times, you know, good or bad. And I'm like, okay, if you're living by that and you're doing nothing but good, like, why isn't your life better than what it is?
Exactly.
But that could just come down to, like, that my idea of a better life and their idea of a better life are 2 different ideas. I don't know. But, I mean, I know some Wiccans, not personally, just, like, through the community, that I don't think are living their best life.
Oh, and you know what? Something else that I'm mad about. You talk about doing curse work, and somebody who's Wiccan attacks you on Facebook about it. And you know, a lot of people turn supposedly turn to paganism and witchcraft as a belief system to get away from that whole Christianity thing where
you're judged on everything.
Where you're judged, they look down on you, they shame you for not believing the way they do. Well, how about there are witches doing the same fucking thing, and that's not okay.
Well, I mean, because it just happened to me recently.
That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah. And I mean, I did a video in the Facebook group, so I won't go into too much detail, but basically what happened, I had some pretty major, dangerous electrical issues in my home. And, you know, was able to find out, and it cost me a little over $1,500 to fix that problem.
Which is honestly about half of what you would have normally had to pay.
Yeah. He didn't charge me the full amount that he would normally charge someone. He didn't demand any money up front. He was like, listen, your house is going to kill you.
Yeah.
I'm going to fix it today, and when you get paid, we'll work it out.
Yeah.
So, and they had it done in a day, had it fixed in a day. And I mean, it was a big job, guys. Like, they had to completely, because my house was on one of those older systems where it was the round fuses, like you would see like in really old houses. And they completely switched it from that to like a modern breaker system, and moved it from the outside of my home to the inside of my home. I mean, it was a job and a half, and got it completed and done in one day. But I had someone attack me, send me a private message, and said, like all this money that you're spending and what happened to your home was a result of, the threefold law, or the curse work that you're so proud of coming back on you. And I tried to have just a very educated discussion with her and say, like, no, I don't believe in the threefold law. I don't
That's
believe
like
this
somebody
is
saying if you're a good witch and don't curse, you'll never have car trouble.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. And I tried to explain, I was explaining to her, it's like, no, I look at this as the universe watching out for me and taking care of me. Because my house could have went up in flames at any moment.
And all it did was the power went out.
Yeah. And I mean, even like, it was so bad that when, the guy was like, I'm not even going to touch it until the power company comes out here and disconnects your entire home from the main line. Mm-hmm. He was like, that's how dangerous it is. And
you were living there over a year with this going on, and you didn't know it, and you were fine. Nothing happened to you.
Yeah. And when the power company come out to turn it off, he was like, holy shit. Like, he's like, all you needed was, and we had a real bad windstorm and everything.
More than one.
And he's like, all you needed was for the wind to put one tree branch on your roof, and your house would have went up in flames. Mm-hmm. And he had to get the big bucket truck, and it was a production, And
it only cost $1,500.
Yeah, it only cost $1,500. So
in installments.
Yeah. So I was trying to explain to her that I wasn't viewing it that way. And it became this whole issue. Like I said, there's a whole video about it on the Facebook group if you want to look at it. But, that just, for me, that's an example of why, if you choose to look at it that way, then, maybe, losing $1,500, but I don't look at it that way.
You weren't losing $1,500. You invested in your home.
Yeah.
You just increased the value of your home.
Yeah, I can get better insurance on it now.
Yep.
So, but so that, that kind of touches a little bit on that, whole, threefold law and all that.
People are crazy.
Yeah. Ethical witchcraft requires consideration of the potential consequences, but not in a simplistic karma's gonna get you kind of way. When we work, when you and I, when we work curse work, we look at who else it could affect.
This goes back to us saying you need to be very, very specific.
Yeah.
When you do a spell.
Because there was a lot of things that we would have loved to have done to the offspring's step parent.
But we didn't.
Because it would affect her children.
So what I did do to her, it happened slowly.
Yeah.
And it only happened to
her.
That individual.
Yeah.
And it did not affect my child
or her children.
And it worked out beautifully.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Not for her, but
yeah. So, and that's just being mindful in your witchcraft.
That's called using your brain.
Yeah. So there is.
I'm in a mood today.
You are. There's archaeological evidence of hexing. It's been found in the form of curse tablets, which are usually thin lead pieces inscribed with detailed writing, including the person's name, spirits or gods being called on, and why the hex is being laid, and what exactly is it's supposed to do. A large number of these tablets have been found at the Healing Springs in Bath, England, which is a shrine once dedicated to the goddess Minerva. And in these hex
I've
tablets...
I've never heard of that goddess.
Yeah, Minerva.
I thought that was the woman from Harry Potter.
Well, if you look through a lot of the names that she comes up with, characters...
Yeah.
Are very... It's from lore and myth and stuff like that. All of the names, and all of the characters have meaning behind them. All of them do.
That's really cool.
But in these hexes were usually being requested due to theft of clothing. Now you got to remember, back then, clothing wasn't easy to come by.
Yeah.
So, that's why they would curse you or hex you for trying to take their clothing. And it was in bathhouses, so it makes sense. In the Scottish witchcraft trials, we see examples of witches confessing to hexing others over slights or offenses they otherwise had no means to address due to their own social station. So, through history, we see hexing being used as a form of redressing a problem or trying to stop a problem from happening. Someone's trying to steal your clothing. You're poor. You can't get more clothing. You're going to hex anyone that takes your clothing from you so that they suffer for making you suffer. Your neighbor, you and your neighbor go to the local magistrate over a land dispute. And because your neighbor is rich, the land goes to your neighbor and now you're left without the land. Yeah. So then you would put a hex on that land. So that no crops will grow on it for him, or a cow that eats off of it will die, like whatever.
Damn bit.
I'm just saying. Hexing hasn't always had such
death to your cow.
Death to your cow. Maybe that's how mad cow disease started. I don't know. But hexing hasn't always had such a bad rap. You need to think about the beautiful barn hexes that you see up north, like in Pennsylvania Dutch country.
I wish you guys could see her hand movements while she's doing this.
I'm like doing like a clockwise circle, like beautiful barn hexes. In 1952, folk artist Johnny Ott started painting and selling colorful, stylized discs inspired by the large decorative stars that commonly adorn the barns across Pennsylvania German country. Unlike the barn stars, which were painted directly on the sides of the structures, the wooden hex signs could be ported around and hung not just on barns, but anywhere. Ott marketed hex signs as objects of folk magic, ascribing specific meaning and power to the symbolism on the signs. 4 and 5 pointed star would conjure good luck. 8 pointed stars conjured fertility or abundance. 2 goldfinches conjure love and happiness in marriage. 16 points bring prosperity. A bird of paradise means welcome. The rosettes and stars of a daddy hex ward off famine. Oaks and acorns bring strength.
A daddy hex?
Yeah, that's I would have to look it up. Apparently, like whatever it is, it has rosettes and stars. Like that particular hex, like the name of it is the daddy hex. The visualization of it, I'd have to look it up, but it has rosettes and stars on it. Huh. And it would ward off famine. So here we have these very beautiful things. And you see them all over up north, like all over, on barns and homes and everything. And there are very specific magical meanings tied to these things. Now, a lot of people don't realize, that this beautiful thing that they have hanging up on their home or whatever has a magical meaning. But the Amish and the Mennonites reject the hex signs as superstitious or pagan.
Well, of course they do.
Yeah. So there's many in the community up north, they embrace the hex signs for their beauty and tradition, but they insist that the signs have no magical powers and were never legitimately used as such. Another artist, kind of around the same time, disagreed with the original artist, assertions that the signs were magic, and coined the phrase "just for nice," which means like just for nice. Meaning that they're simply decorative.
Well, I think it's the same thing with doing magic. It's not going to work if you don't believe it.
Yeah, you gotta set the intention and believe it.
Yeah.
So if you buy, like if you're out at an antique shop and you find one of these old painted hex signs and you're like, oh, that's really pretty, I'm going to put it in my house, and you know none of the history of it, none of the correlations, then yeah, it's just a pretty decorative piece that you put in your home. But if you're out there and you believe that these hex signs work, and you know what the symbolism behind them means, then you bring it into your home, it'll work.
Well, it's like you and I've always said, you could pick up a rock out of my yard today and put an intention into it.
Yeah.
and have it be like something that protects you while you're in your car or something like that.
Yeah.
Leave the rock in your car.
Other hex sign painters argue that while the symbols are powerful, they are Christian symbols and therefore acceptable for use by Christians. That, however, has not stopped neo-pagans from enthusiastically adopting hex signs as part of their own religious practices and believing the symbols and their ascribed meanings to be ancient. The pagan aspect is partially correct, since some of the symbolism used in hexing has its roots in paganism, including pentagrams, hexagrams, and octograms. Yet in
An octogram?
An octogram.
What's that?
It's like an 8-pointed star, I think.
How many? You know the Star of David. I wonder how many's in that.
I don't know. I'd have to look up octogram, but I think it might be 8-pointed star.
Huh. I would offer to look it up for you, but you know what'll happen.
I'm sure you could Google what is an octogram and get an answer.
Hey, I'm going to try.
But, so all those are symbolisms that we find in paganism. But, in the same way, with Christmas trees and Easter eggs, those were also appropriated by Christians. So the star symbol,
What is an organism? Let's see. Sorry. Octogenarian.
Okay, you need to put octogram. What is an octogram?
An 8-angled star polygon.
So it's a star with 8 angles or 8 points? 8 points. Yeah, it's an 8-pointed star.
And they are at 45-degree angles.
Okay, thank you.
Does this mean oh, and look, here's a picture of a... God damn it. There.
Yes, that is a picture of a hex.
Now I want one.
So, you can see where the divide started, where hexing kind of got like a bad rap. Because, the Pennsylvania Dutch, they would label hexing as both good things and bad things. Like, it just depends on what the purpose of that particular working was going to be towards.
So if you're going to hex somebody in a bad way with one of those pictures, what do you do? Just walk up to them and slap them with it or something? Or
like one of the hexes we were just talking about?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you would have to find, like, if you was going to draw your own with the purpose of hexing someone in a negative way,
yeah,
you would need to find symbolism that represented that, and when you draw it, with that intention, and then give it to them somehow, whether it's, hiding it on their property, giving it to them as a gift when it's really, meant to harm.
Hang it around their cow's neck.
Yeah. Yeah. Their cow. So you can see where that divide kind of started, though, because, that example's a really good one. That, here was this piece of magic that was done, and it was a beautiful, positive, type of magic that was being done. But you had people that just because magic was attached to it, like, no, that's just art. It doesn't mean anything. There's no magic behind that. So I think a lot of the misunderstanding that we have is just that people don't understand the history of witchcraft. And that all they see is what we see on television and movies and stuff, that it's this bad, negative thing. So, hexing today is commonly used to represent all forms of baneful magic, which can be defined as anything that interferes with the free will of another, be they human, spirit, or otherwise. Hexing is sometimes grossly misrepresented as a spell driven by dark emotions with ill intent. Healing, according to popular ideas, seems to refer to all witchery designed to be beneficial, from attraction spells to prosperity charms. But so-called healing can be incredibly toxic when done incorrectly, especially if there is a denial of truth of the disease. Of course, hexing can be healing. Baneful magic wouldn't be done unless the practitioner believed it to be beneficial. So you're not, I'm sure there's a jackass out there somewhere that is hexing just to hex, just to see if they can do it. But most of the time when people are hexing, it's because they have been injured in some way, emotionally, physically, like something has injured them. And so it could be considered healing, to take care of that situation with a hex. The fact is that hexing and healing are completely intertwined. What is baneful and what is baneful and what is a blessing? Is it baneful to remove a toxic person from your life? For them, it can be considered, to be bad. Since your witchery may interfere with their free will, they may want to stay in your life. We can package that as protection magic when it's actually baneful. The appeal of protection witchery is that it appears to be quote unquote white witchcraft. After all, you're only saving yourself, However, we're usually putting up barriers against someone or something which interferes with their free will. Maybe you don't need to protect yourself if the problem is one person. Why not wrap them in witchery, binding them from interfering with you ever again?
Never bind. And
I was going to get to that. You said that. When you bind someone, you energetically, you're binding them to yourself.
Yes.
You're creating this link between you and this person that you don't want anything to do with. So, binding, I would never bind.
No. You banish.
Now, like if you wanted to keep your husband from straying, you might do a binding to bind your husband to yourself.
If you're with someone that you have to magic them to keep them from cheating, you don't need to be with them.
I was going to say that. You beat me to it. I was going to say, but do you really want that? Like, do you really want... Because you know me, I kick people out of my life quick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, you know what? I don't need you. You don't need me.
I'm of the bind. Either you like me or you don't. I'm not going to beg someone to want to spend time with me or like me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because they talk about like, well, what if I just constantly just protect myself instead of, protection magic is way better and it's, not as evil as hexing. But if you're constantly having to protect yourself, that can be draining.
That's stressful.
Use your shield if you have to. Like, shield yourself if you have to.
I mean, we should all be shielded every day.
Anyway. Yeah. But, deal with the problem. Instead of just saying, I'm just going to shield and protect myself from it, deal with it. Hexing and healing only work if they are very specific. Like, you have to... Because you said that earlier, like, be very specific about what it is that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get into, like... when you're doing spells for the other person's higher good.
Whatever.
So basically when you're talking about like for the higher good, whether
that's like forcing someone to advance spiritually when they're not ready.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah. So you're working magic to make their life better so they leave you alone. like who cares?
Wait, what?
Yeah. So basically it's with that train of thought, like the highest good, higher good, like whatever.
That's like, this person's an asshole. Let's do magic to give them a good life so they'll stop being an asshole.
Yeah. Well, and that's the point that she made, or he or she, whoever wrote this part, was like, who cares if the other person's highest good, if they're a complete jerk to you or someone you love.
Yeah.
There are times when highest good isn't the point of a spell. Right. What's most important is the immediate need that led to casting the spell. So even blessings can be twisted to cause harm if the spirit they are set in is rooted in negative intent. So so what they're saying is like, okay, you're of that white light thought, where harm done is, you're like, I'm going to do a spell to make their life better. So that, they'll leave me alone, leave my family, like whatever. We're human. We still have that trace within ourselves where we don't want them to. I don't care how spiritually enlightened you are.
Or think you are.
Like, somewhere in your subconscious, you don't want them to have those things because they're your fucking enemy, So if you work that blessing, from that kind of standpoint, it can get twisted, and you know, it's going to be it's going to have the same outcome. You know.
You know how I feel about it.
Yeah. You're like, curse you and you. Hexing and really all magic requires training, knowledge, and discernment to use properly.
Okay, hold on. So, I was trying not to say anything.
Go ahead.
So, people that believe in this threefold law and all this bullshit, you know how much witches, pagans, Wiccans, whatever, love our pets? What?
Is that a spider?
It better not be a spider. Yes? Not anymore! Anyway, you can't tell me for 1 second if somebody hurt a pagan's pet.
Yeah.
That person, that pagan would be like, the person that hurt my pet, I'm going to bless their life.
Yeah.
So that they're a happier person.
And they won't hurt any more animals.
That's not how that would turn out.
Yeah. No.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. You'd be like, you're going to catch these fists. So it talks about all magic, but hexing, we're talking about hexing specifically, but all magic really requires training, knowledge, and, just a real clear thought out idea to use properly. Actions have consequences, and magic has repercussions. If done well, though, a curse or a hex, won't come back on you. It won't come back because you've thought it out. Like, you understand. Now, if you are one of these people that still really believe in the threefold law, and no matter how much preparation you do, how well you word your spell, all that, you're gonna experience the effects of that threefold because that's what you believe. That's just the law of attraction working. You and I don't believe in it.
No.
So it doesn't come back to us. So what are some reasons that someone might hex? There's the big ones, okay? There's like child abusers, assholes who treat animals poorly, rapists, the really big, like, murderers. Those are easy for people, those are kind of the hexes that a lot of even these white light people have an easier time getting behind. Mm-hmm. Because, they're like, it's for the greater good that we handle these people. But, there are some less obvious reasons that you might hex somebody.
Do tell.
You could hex a coworker who's after your job.
I'm not after your job.
You're not, and I'm not after your job.
I would have to talk to people a lot more if I was in your position. A woman that, could hex a married man to keep him from continually hitting on her. So there's all these little tiny things like, your child is being bullied at school. That sounds hexable.
And hexing that child. Now here's the thing with hexing, and this is where you get kind of like, where people get confused, because when you hear hex, people think of like the curse type stuff that's really heavy and really dangerous. You can hex somebody and it not be this traumatic thing that happens to them. Mm-hmm. Like if a kid is bullying your kid at school, so you hex that child. Mm-hmm. And the hex is that as long as they continue to bully your child, they themselves will be the target of being bullied. Mm-hmm. Or something extremely embarrassing will happen to them at school, mm-hmm. so that they are then, the subject of that bullying.
Or you could make the bully
lose their hair.
Make them just all of a sudden be scared to death of your kid.
Yeah. Yeah, where they won't even look at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... it's about restoring balance. It's not about, like murdering somebody with your magic. Hexes are not. Curses, yes. Hexing, no. It's just about restoring a balance. It's about release. It's a way to turn the page in your life. It's about justice. Hexing can be used as a means for the witch to level the playing field. when a person or a witch or other magic user has been wronged or harmed in some way and has no other option to obtain justice, or if they feel there is a need for justice or repercussions on a wider scale, they may choose to use magic as a means to affect the desired outcome. So basically what that's saying is, like a good example is that Brock Turner guy. Do you remember him?
See that college dude?
That he was like a rapist.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if he got away with it or not.
I think it was just a community. Don't quote me. Don't
quote. We're not 100. Yeah, it was like a very, very light sentence for what he did.
I think he ended up with community service.
Yeah, I know it wasn't anywhere.
It wasn't what it should have been.
Yeah, it wasn't anywhere. And I think a lot of that had to do with just him being very affluential, his family coming from money.
I don't know.
Being a white man with money, probably helped a lot.
Well, I got to tell you, I've been white my whole life.
But you haven't had money.
I've never had those privileges.
Well, okay, so, but we've talked, we're going to go off topic a little bit here. You and I have talked about this a lot. The whole idea of white privilege, I'm not going to say that it's not out there and it doesn't exist, but I think that when you get into whites that are privileged, there's definitely a hierarchy among us as well. I'm white, but I don't have money. Someone that is white and has money.
When we say we don't have money, we mean we're not like
stupid rich.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because a good example. Okay, my brother is white, and this other guy's white. They committed a crime together. Okay. They did $14,000 worth of damage to this property, and was told, both of them were told, like, listen, if you can each pay $7,000, you'll have a misdemeanor, and you'll be done. The other guy's family had come from money. They had way more money than my family had. So he paid the $7,000. He got a misdemeanor, went on with his life. My brother was not able to pay his $7,000, so he was charged as a felon. And now has that on his record and has been dealing with that ever since. So they were both white, but one was rich and white. So there's, we talk about that a lot. I'm not diminishing anything that anyone of color goes through. I can't imagine what that's like.
I'll never know what it's like.
Yeah. But I don't think it's fair to label all white people as being privileged, because they're not.
Yeah.
I definitely think that there are situations where just the fact that I'm white would get me more than someone that was of color. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But our whiteness is not an automatic get out of jail free card. It doesn't solve all of our problems. But anyway, I hope I didn't piss
our whiteness.
Yeah. Hope I don't piss anybody off with that. But I just whatever. Anyway. So how do you hex someone? There's as many ways to hex someone as there are witches out there. I found one thing here that I thought was really interesting. And it's a ritual that this witch does leading up to hexing someone. So for her, it's become this, even leading up to the hex, has become this very ritualized process for her that she does the same every way. Now, in order for me to tell this, I have to kind of educate you on something else first. Because I read the word and I was like, I don't know what this is. And I had to look it up. So she has what's called a fetch.
What's that?
F-E-T-C-H. A fetch is your shadow self. It's a part of you. It is you. It's the connection between you and the beyond. So it's like a part of your darker self. Your darker thoughts, emotions, it's almost like a little spirit of you, but it's the dark you. Okay.
So it's your yin?
Yes. So what her ritual...
I simplified that, didn't
I? Her ritual before she does a hex is she has her fetch, and she says that it resides in some red coral branches. So I'm assuming that she has collected red coral branches and set the intention that her fetch resides inside those branches. Okay. She then wraps the branches in a black cloth that has been infused with henbane and dark moon water. She then places it in a miniature wooden coffin where it resides. So,
I want a miniature wooden coffin.
So she got this red coral branch. She got red coral branches, and put her fetch in it. Her shadow self in it. She then wrapped that with black cloth that she had infused with the herb henbane and dark moon water. So it was water that she put out on a new moon. And then she wrapped it and then put it in this little miniature wooden coffin. Now she feeds it. She feeds it so that it has her energy. And what it means when she feeds it is that it's
kind of like charging.
Charging.
Yeah.
So anytime that she has sorrow, pain, agony, hatred, or rage, she would hold it or however, whatever her process is, to feed that emotion into it.
If this helps, I'll hold up an object or a candle or a spell paper, and I'll talk to it and say everything that I'm feeling.
Yeah. So if you would if you had her little fetch, you would hold that coffin and you would pour all of that. You would talk to it about the sadness, the rage, whatever you were feeling, all those darker emotions that you would be feeling.
Even anxiety, guys. You can even put your anxiety into something like that.
And the purpose of is you're going to put all of that in there so that you can direct your fetch to do the hex work for you. So then they burn herbs and they inhale the smoke, they dance, they scream. And then once they, get to that point, then they'll actually do their hex work. And a lot of times, hex work is very tactile as well. It's very you'll make a voodoo doll. You'll have a puppet of, the person that you're hexing.
A puppet, you say?
A puppet. While you're drinking your tea and eating your crumpets.
I gotta say, I feel like this relates to what you're talking about with all the steps she takes to do a hex.
Yeah.
There have been times when you and I do magic and we don't have the time.
Yeah.
To really cast a circle, put the emotions into it, pull a bunch of energy in. And me personally, I don't feel like the magic is as powerful. Even though it works just the same. Yeah. I feel more satisfied when I'm able to put more steps into it, like she's talking about.
Yeah, because you're putting your intention. Yeah. You're building it, because it's all about energy. Yep. And if you spend all of this time and feeding into this process, you're adding more and more and more of your energy into it. Now, you and I, we're real good about quick and dirty, too. Like you said, if something needs to be done quick, sometimes you and I have to hurry up and get a curse done or a hex done before your daughter gets out of the shower. Yeah, yeah. So, it's, or even when we're both signed on to the network, let's do this real quick before we both get
before we get a reading.
Before we get a reading, so it's good, but, we've also done, and I'm working for the full moon on a curse. I don't know if I should hold off and wait till the next, because you and I believe we can do magic whenever we want to do magic.
Don't hold off. Do it on the full moon. But did you make it a shake and bake?
No.
But you're feeding it though.
No, I haven't started. I'm going to start it on the full moon. Oh. I'm thinking about starting on the full and running it to the new.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Can we make it a shake and bake?
Sure. Okay, so now shake and bake.
Are we going to tell my secret?
Do you want to?
No.
Okay, then I won't. I was going to tell him, because it's kind of funny, too.
I know it's funny, but I don't...
we won't tell the steps. Basic. Okay, so everyone knows that there's shake and bake, which is where you put your meat in the bag and you coat your meat with the shake and bake seasonings, like that old commercial. It's shake and bake, and I helped. So when she first said shake and bake, now I'm a social worker. And I deal with a lot of people that have drug problems.
Her mind immediately goes to drugs, no matter what I say.
So there's a way of making meth that's called shake and bake. So when she was talking about shake and bake, I was like, wait a minute. Wait, what? We're not making meth. Rain. Anyway. So yeah, you like when you work up to that and you put all that energy into it, the more hands-on you on, the more of a ritual you make, there is going to be a lot more power. But you can also very quickly, simply, and just quick and dirty get one done as well. So then there was an example of Pennsylvania Dutch folk magic.
You guys missed another hand motion.
It was an okay sign in a circle. I don't know why that's Pennsylvania Dutch, but it is.
It is. You're like the sign language lady that was faking it.
Oh, that was horrible.
That's what they were.
That was horrible. She's up here just making these wild hand gestures. She doesn't know sign language, and all the people that need it to understand what's going on in the news is like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, so here's an example of some folk magic that is considered a hex. And you would say this if you were doing it. O thief, I bind thee by the first nail which I drive into thy skull. Now,
Jesus.
I'm assuming you would be either you would be actually physically driving a nail into something that represented a skull. I've seen this done like with like stick pins, like you would use for sewing into like an egg to represent the skull. But anyway, O thief, I bind you by the first nail which I drive into thy skull, thy brain, to return the goods thou have stolen to their former place.
How old is this hex you're reading?
It's old. Thou shalt feel as sick and as anxious to see the men, and to see the place you stole from, and felt the disciple Judas after betraying Jesus. I bind thee by the other nail which I drive into your lungs and liver.
Good God.
to return the stolen goods to their former place. Thou shalt feel sick. Thou shalt feel as sick and as anxious to see men and see the place you have stolen from, as did what is this? Pilate, Pilate, in the fires of hell. The third nail I shall drive into thy foot, O thief, in order that thou shalt return the stolen goods to the very same place from which thou hast stolen them. O thief, I bind thee and compel thee by the 3 holy nails which were driven through the hands and feet of Jesus Christ, to return the stolen goods to the very same place from which thou hast stolen them. 3 nails, however, must be that's the end of what you would say. The 3 nails would have to be greased with the grease from an executed criminal.
What the fuck?
Or other sinful person.
Okay. How the hell you get grease off a dead person?
I'm guessing like when you burn them.
Fuck!
This is from the book The Long Lost Friend. You can actually get this book on Amazon. It was originally published in 1820. So that's where that comes from. And that's Pennsylvania Dutch hex work right there.
I was going to say, their shit won't be returned in this day and time because you know it shit's at the pawn shop already.
Yeah. And we know which pawn shop here in our little town to go look for your stolen shit.
Yeah. That pawn shop's shady as hell.
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, I want to give you guys like an example. Like that of course that was an example of a hex. But this is another one. And I had to print this off on separate paper because Rain has asked to keep it.
Oh, yes.
So this is a hex that's called Marriage to Hell Hex. This hex is for those who wish to break up a marriage by causing extreme chaos in the victim's relationship. This will bring about the most chaotic vibrations in their household. This will bring each of them to a boiling point to where they would be tempted to kill one another. This hex is not for those who just want to break a couple up. For that you can use, there's other spells out there that you can use. This is for someone that you really hate with a passion. someone who you wish to see suffer intensely with the end being a broken marriage. Broken marriage, mind, and heart for them. A total collapse of their little white picket fence dream, and an end to their happy little world of love and harmony. So, the Pennsylvania Dutch one, for having all of its like imagery of driving nails into skulls and lungs and spleens and whatever else it was talking about, that was still a very mild version of a hex. Like, basically it's saying like, you're going to feel guilt. You're going to, every time that you see the place you stole from, the person you stole from, until you bring back those items, this is how you're going to suffer. This one is on the more heavier side of hexing, which I would say this one even kind of skirts along the curse line that's in between.
I would say, yeah.
So it is labeled a hex.
It'd be safe to call it a curse.
Well, I mean, but her title for it is the Marriage to Hell Hex. So I think it's hex, but it kind of very closely skirts that line between a hex and a curse. So for this one, you're going to need 4 black candles, a picture of the intended victim, some anointing oil, a picture of the person whose marriage you wish to dissolve. And if you have a picture that contains the couple together, that's fine, but you'll need to focus mainly on one of the two. So here's the difference, because you say like a picture of your victim, but a picture of the person whose marriage you wish to dissolve. In that couple, you have one that you want to really suffer and have all of the nasty effects of this hex. And then you have the other person that you just want the marriage to, like, they're both going to affect it, but one's going to get it harder than the other. So, like, can I use your example? In your example, I'm
like, what example?
In your example, like, if you had a picture of them, your ex and his new wife together.
Yeah.
The victim would be her.
Oh, most definitely.
But he's the person whose marriage you want to dissolve.
Yeah, the victim would be her because he's still the father of my child and she loves him. So
you would focus on her as the victim, but yet he is the person whose marriage you want to dissolve.
Yeah. You
need a red marker, a hammer, 2 nails, and a block of wood. She says about a 1 inch by 1 inch square would be fine.
Also about the size of...
Actually, that's 1 foot by 1 foot.
Oh, I was going to say 1 inch by 1 inch is about the size of someone's penis that we know of.
Yeah. 1 foot by 1 foot square is what you would need.
That's not him.
No. If it was, that relationship would still be happening today. It would still be happening today. First, you'll want to anoint the candles with the oil, and while doing so, thinking of all the chaos this hex will be causing. You visualize in your mind the victim's mental hell that they'll be going through. Visualize them fighting with words of extreme hate and violence. Visualize them finally splitting up and divorcing.
I would take the violence part out.
Yeah. That was, I'm going to put toward the end, but we'll put it here too. Any spell, any hex, any curse, anything that you find on the internet, you need to make it your own. You don't want to work it exactly how it's laid out. Because if you make it your own, you change words, you change little aspects of it, it's going to have more power because you've put work into it. So you don't want any violence to happen.
No, I don't.
Because you've had that in your own life.
I have. So
you wouldn't want to do that. So you would take that out. But you're going to visualize this divorce being bitter to the end, okay? So here's the first step. Like after you anoint the candles with the oil, is you're going to place the picture of the victim to be on the block of wood. Use the red marker and draw a red heart on the forehead and on the chest of the victim in the picture. Take your hammer and drive the nail into the heart drawn on the chest of the victim. Okay? And you're going to say the following words. With this nail I stab your heart, soon your love so near will part. Okay, so then you take your hammer and you drive the nail into the heart. That you say those words. So now you're going to do the head. So now you're going to
She's hammering, guys.
Yeah. So as you're hammering into the head, with this nail I stab your mind, insanity now you shall find. So part 2. You're going to place the black candles on 4 points around the picture of the victim. Place them in north, south, east, and west. During this, you should be facing east. The direction of Lucifer is what she has in parentheses.
Oh, I didn't know he had a direction.
I didn't either. Light all 4 candles and meditate on the hex once again. Allow for the black wax from the candle to drip down onto the picture.
Wait, I thought there were 4 red candles.
No, it's black.
Okay. I could be wrong. I'm probably...
Four black candles.
Okay.
There's a red marker.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But you want to drip the candle wax onto the picture, thus symbolizing him being surrounded by darkness, negativity, and chaos. Then when you're ready, recite the following words with the utmost sincerity. We've talked about this a lot too, that like even when you're speaking your spells, you can't just be reading like Bueller, like you have to have some feeling in it.
I was gonna wait till you were done, but now that you mention that, like if I were to do this spell, I would have to change the words so it doesn't rhyme, because I can't put any vehemence into it when it rhymes.
Yeah.
I'm too busy trying to
rhyme.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just say it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what they have. You should say, Lords of darkness, lords of night, bring this hex now to flight. Take this man I see before me now. Speed up his karma. Bring him down. Take his marriage and break it apart. Bring it chaos and hate now to start. Tear their love to shreds so fine. What is gone now is the time. No longer shall they be together. His close-knit family shall now be severed. When together they start to smother, each doesn't want to kill the other. No longer shall ye be as one. Your marriage is over. What's done is done. Lords of darkness, lords of night, bring this hex now to flight. So mote it be.
So mote it be.
So mote it be. It's so funny. Anytime we do anything in public with people that are new or whatever, I always have to explain to them, like, listen, have you ever been to church? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, when they say amen, everyone says amen. I'm like, anytime you hear any pagan say so mote it be, you need to follow up with your own so mote it be.
And it's such a habit now. I say it even when I'm not supposed to.
Yeah. Well, even the offspring will do it.
Yeah.
Like, we can be having a conversation, just kind of just be like, so mote it be. And she'll be fully engrossed in her tablet.
Halfway through the house, not even in the same room, you'll hear, so mote it be.
So remember that the word his may be changed to her, so forth, like however you want to change that for your own purposes. When you're done, extinguish the candles and leave everything set up as it is, and you may repeat the second part of the spell for 3 nights, starting with lighting the candles, meditating, and reciting the incantation. At the end of 3 nights, you may want to leave everything still set up for a while to keep the vibrations going out there to do its work. Then when you feel it's time, you may dispose of everything. If you're like, the woman says, if you're like me, you will even make throwing it in the trash a ritual. What I mean is, I will think of throwing it into the trash as symbolizing the victim's life of happiness going to the trash to be gone forever. So, that's an example of like a really heavy.
You did a lot of work on this.
I did. It really was pretty involved. So now we're going to talk about how to protect against hexes and how to break them. Okay, we found out the fun stuff of how to do them, what they are, some of the history behind them. Now we'll talk about what to do to protect yourself.
Don't be an asshole to get hexed.
Well, if you feel you've genuinely been the victim of a magical attack, the first thing to do is to protect yourself from further mischief. Once you've done that, you need to get started on removal of the curse or hex. Now, obviously, this is all stuff that can be used for a curse or a hex. So I don't think that I will go over these specific examples in next week's podcast on cursing. I'll try to find something different.
Okay.
But these can be used on either. There are several methods. Some of the examples may include creating a magic mirror spell, which bounces the hex or curse back to its sender. Create a doll or a puppet to take the damage in your place. So that one you would create like a doll of yourself, and it would then attract.
I've had that done.
Whatever, is coming to you. Perform a working that will remove negative influences from your life. So that's just a spell that will remove the negative. So, I mean, if you think about it, that's telling you to hex to get rid of the person that's hexing you.
I gotta tell you, doing the doll of yourself, putting some of your hair inside.
Yeah.
That really works.
Yeah.
I've had to do that before.
You can use meditation, Reiki, chakra healing, and other energy work to lift a spell. You can use just a general shielding method, to keep it from coming at you. Then, of course, there's different magical herbs that can help with protecting against hexes and stuff. There's a lot, like basil. I'll go over the ones that are going to be easy to get, because there's some of these that's not going to be easy to find. Basil is one of them. It wards off negative magic.
That's dollar store.
Yeah. Cayenne returns negative energy to its source.
Again.
Coffee neutralizes harmful magic. Now, this one is not easy to get, but I'm going to mention it just because it's so powerful after I take a drink. Dragon's blood resin.
I have a lot of that.
Or powder.
I have that too.
It's for protection. Patchouli returns harmful magic. And I say patchouli because, anyone can go get some patchouli incense. It's easy to get.
Or you can go to the hippie store and get some of the oil.
Yeah. St. John's wort purifies and protects against psychic attack. You can even get capsules. So, I mean, that's some of the different herbs that you can use, to help protect against hexes or whatever. There's also crystals and gemstones. Amber protects against psychic attack. Amethyst protects from negative energy. Black onyx protects against harmful magic. Obsidian provides protective energies. Quartz you use to protect yourself from hexes or curses. Ruby you can use to defend against magical attacks related to emotions. And selenite for shielding against negative outside influences.
Well, I got enough of that.
Selenite or...
I got it everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
To charge my other stuff.
Yeah. So that's ways that you could protect yourself, okay? So now we're going to talk a little bit about, what do you do if you think you are actively being hexed? There's a simple hex breaking ritual that you can do. And you need to know the target, the person that, the target that has been hexed, so yourself or an item, whatever, that has been cursed or hexed. You're going to need a tub of water large enough to submerge and wash the target, or enough water to wash down the area if a location was cursed.
Let's hope it's not your cow.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to, I don't know. So, if it's yourself that's been cursed, then you would need to do this in a bathtub. If it's just, if you think that, or hexed, rather, because we're talking about hexes, not curses. But if you think, someone put a hex on my grandmother's ring, then you would just need something small enough to put her ring in. You need enough sea salt so that the water to salt ratio is 100-1. So if you fill a tub with about 100 cups of water, then a cup of salt would work. If you only need a cup of water to do a small object, then 2 teaspoons of salt would do. You have this look on your face.
If someone's going to stand there and measure out 100 cups of water...
Yeah.
Into their bathtub.
Yeah.
They either need a job or a life.
Well, and it says here, I think she put this in here for you. Because it says, when in doubt, it's better to use too much salt than too little. So just keep pouring. just keep pouring your sea salt.
Grief.
The best time to perform this ritual is during the new moon, on a Thursday, at noon or at midnight, at dawn or at dusk.
Because the new moon is for getting rid of things.
Yes. So basically any time that's associated with transitions. So you're going to fill the tub with water. The temperature should be comfortable for a long soak if the target is a living thing. Open and hold the container of sea salt. Clear your mind and say the following words while concentrating on what they mean to you. Say them slowly, confidently, and meditatively, whatever that means. In the names of my ancestors, my gods, and myself, I call upon thee, O creatures of water and earth. Come forth, cleanse, and then you would say the name of the target. So, like, cleanse, like,
myself
of all evil and alien magics, and restore whatever, to balance and health, our wills combined, so mote it be.
So, technically, you could just go take a shower, put some sea salt on your body wash.
Yeah.
And scrub yourself off.
Which is what you said in the last one. You're like...
Just saying.
What's funny because earlier in the podcast, she's like, when you really can do the long, drawn-out rituals, it's really good. And you're like, but... just put some salt in your Dove body wash.
If it comes down to having to measure out 100 cups of water...
Yeah.
No.
So she says that, like, what, you would be... saying that little thing. Of course, you would want to reword it because, like I said, you always want to write your own spells. But you would be saying that while you pour the salt into the water. So,
what if you just bought a salt scrub?
Are there salt scrubs? I know there's sugar scrubs.
Yeah, you can buy them in magical shops.
Well,
you can buy body washes specifically for this shit.
Yeah. It says, keeping your mind in that calm and meditative state, submerge or wash the target slowly. If you are the target, get in the tub and simply lay back and soak. Relax. Let everything slip away. It's so funny. I'm reading, but I'm looking out the corner of my eye, and I see Rain just slowly running her hand down her other arm. Like mimicking what she would do as if she was doing that slowly with her body wash.
I'm washing in slow motion.
Infused with salt. You're going to let everything slip away. If you're cleansing an object or a location, you will have to make sure that the water touches every inch of its surface. So let's say you think your house has been hexed. Holy fuckballs, Batman. How would you even do that? How would you wash your entire house with a salt bath?
I wouldn't.
No.
You know what we would do.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. You and I, when I bought my house, remember we walked around my house with just like a big container of kitchen salt?
Yeah.
And just sprayed it salt all the way around the perimeter of my house.
Yeah, first we saged it.
Yeah.
Then we pulled the energy in that we wanted.
Yeah. And then we went outside.
And did a salt perimeter.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. And some asshole stole my sage.
Yes. Here's the lesson of my house. Anything that you don't want to lose,
don't put it outside.
Don't leave it on my porch. Because some crackhead, meth head, somebody is going to fucking take it.
They probably thought either it was a hell of a blunt.
Yeah.
Or I had some weed that I had tied together with string or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, or they could have been like, hey, the lady who's moving in here is obviously a pot smoker. This is so that she gets rid of the smell.
I don't know. But it kind of smells like weed.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Okay, so this is also coming back from just working in social work as long as I have. One of the things that you look for as a social worker when you're going into a home to investigate whether or not parents have been using drugs or whatever, you look for incense. You look for sage bundles. You look for the Palo Santo wood.
You're kidding me.
No. Because that's signs of someone trying to cover up the fact that they're smoking. And that's why I have wanted to do a presentation at the social work conference for forever to explain to them that, you know, the things that you see in someone's home who's a practicing pagan may look like something else to you.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm sitting here like, I'm fine.
Yeah. So anyway. Oh, girl, just saying. If CPS ever comes knocking on your door, obviously let them in. Talk to them, because that's...
Well, yeah. I haven't done anything.
You haven't done anything wrong, but call me.
Oh, you
and
know.
I will be over here so fucking fast, and I'll be like, listen, like, all of this is her religious belief.
Yeah.
And you need to be very careful how you proceed with this investigation.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm pretty sure that we wouldn't even be allowed to work while you were being investigated.
I wouldn't be investigated, though.
No, you wouldn't. But and you know, and that's a kind of a tip if we have any pagan people that listen and they have children and you're worried about CPS being called in based on... Now, if you're doing drugs and you're locking your kids in cabinets and you're not
pouring syrup on them in the
yeah,
shower
if you're
punishment.
if you're not feeding them, like if you're like legit like abusing your children, has nothing to fucking do with your religion, okay? But if you're being investigated by Child Protective Services and it's about your religious practices, now, your religious practices can't involve you hurting your children. That's not okay. Any religion that would call for you to hurt your child is a piece of shit religion. Get out of it. But you need to have somebody in the pagan community that you know that can come in and very educatedly and articulately...
Educatedly?
Yes, I said...
Is that even a word?
It is today!
What's funny is how you're using it. You're trying to say you need somebody that's smart and educated. You're making up words. So,
Hey!
how about intellectually?
That will work too. I'm tired. But you need someone that can come in and explain very clearly, like, what your religion is. Like, you don't want to go off the handle. Like,
which
I would come for you. Yeah. Which I would do for you, because you would lose your mind. Back to the ritual. So you're going to be doing that soak or wash or whatever for at least 10 minutes. When you're done, drain the water away and rinse off the target. It is absolutely necessary that all of the salt water is washed off the target, because that salt is...
You could just take your cow to the ocean.
You know, if...
Take it for a little dip.
Okay, but can you imagine the like, if... Okay, I live in West Virginia. We don't have an ocean.
Maybe take your cow to the lake, and while it's in the lake, fling salt on it.
Get one of those big salt blocks like you get for deer to lick. You could get your cow in your above ground swimming pool. Throw a salt lick in there. Boom.
Do you remember when someone was convinced they were cursed, and I about had them convinced to stick sage up their butthole?
Yes. I was like, no. No.
You never let me have fun.
So when you're done washing all of that salt off of yourself or the target, like whatever it is, you say the following... It says, when you are done, say the following in the same way you did in step 3. I thank the old creatures of earth and water in the name of myself, my gods, and my ancestors. Be released to your homes, doing no harm on your way, and return to me with glad hearts when you next are summoned. By our wills combined, so mote it be. So that's
so mote it be.
So mote it be. So that's a very, like, even getting rid of that hex is a very, like, I'm just going to get it off of me, but now that we're done, oh, great spirits and gods, don't hurt anybody on your way out. Just go back to where you were. No. If you have, like, if my ancestors have to come and watch me bath in salt, I want them to be pissed off when they leave and do some damage. On, like, I had to watch her wash her ass with salt. You're going to pay. You know? I don't know. So, and they say that there's like, there's other little things you can do as well. At dawn and sunset, burn sage or bay leaf as a cleansing.
What the fuck?
Sink into a natural source of water, such as a creek, river, or ocean, and let the water carry the curse away. That's what you would do for your cow.
Put it in the creek?
Put it in the creek and let the water wash away the hex. Yeah.
How about just walk up to the cow, put your hands on it and say, this energy is not yours, return to sender.
Yeah.
Boom.
Boom. You can create a tea of hex-breaking herbs steeped in water to cleanse your home.
How?
Yeah, now when they say, okay, because this right here, I was a little concerned when I read that one. Because anytime I hear tea, I'm thinking like it's something you drink. There are a lot of herbs out there that you would use in hex breaking that are poisonous. Don't drink this. This is, you're supposed to like maybe put them in a cheesecloth or something and let it soak in your mop water. And then mop your house with it or something, and then throw it outside.
Can I just say, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, no. That was the end of it.
Oh, it's done?
Yep.
If you guys are mopping your house with fucking poisonous tea to break a hex,
yeah,
you need to call a real witch.
Yeah. Well, and like, and my thing too is like that whole poisonous tea, like, I wouldn't want my pets licking my floor.
Which they do.
Yeah.
Pets lick floors.
And getting a dose of poison tea.
I got nothing, man. They didn't have television back in the day. That's clear.
Yeah.
That's clear. Well, anyway, I wanted to tell you guys something. I ordered a magical box from someone on Facebook. I happened to come across it in one of the selling Facebook groups where you can sell your witchy stuff.
Yeah, your witchy wares.
And I can't remember the exact name of it. It's inside the box, but we're going to do an unboxing video so I can give you more details. Guys, the girl's name is Mary Catherine Saxon. If you can't spell Mary, go back to school. Catherine is spelled with a C, and Saxon is Saxon. I bought this box off of this woman, and she got it to me so fast.
Yeah.
It was here within, 2 days?
Yeah.
And I know she's not in the same state as me, so that's pretty quick. And I barely peeked in the box. I didn't take anything out, but the box itself is cool as hell.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
And
we're hoping your tarot cards fit in it.
Yeah. And it is cram-packed full of stuff you can use for magic. And she even includes a list of everything in the box and what it can be used for, the correspondences and all this stuff. So I am extremely stoked about this, and I'm really hoping you guys will check her out on Facebook.
Yeah, and she's in our Facebook group. She's in the Feather and Bone group. And when we do the video, that's where we're going to post the video. We're going to tag her in it as well.
Yeah, and what's really cool about her, she even looks like a witch in her her profile photo.
Yeah.
You can look at her and be like, she's a witch. She's bad as hell.
Yeah.
She's cool. But please, please, please check her out. Because, guys, the time and effort she put into this, what I paid for this box, extremely good price.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So, anyway, I think we're done.
Yeah. You can go to our website on featherandbone.net and find links to this podcast, the Facebook page. There's a calendar of pagan events in and around the West Virginia area. I think there are some things for like Pennsylvania, Ohio, kind of our surrounding states as well.
Yeah.
Our lessons are on there. You can find the lessons that we write. And
speaking of lessons.
Oh, Jesus, I knew that was coming.
What is the next lesson?
The next lesson, and I'm actually working on it. And the reason why it's taking so much longer than what I had anticipated is because, like with most of what I do, it's gotten very involved. It's on how to write your spells. So
I can see why that was.
Yeah. So I was thinking, okay, well, they might want to know about correspondences, and they might want to know about the days of the week, and they might want to know about the planets, and so it's turned into this.
Well, if you need it,
mega thing.
I still have all my correspondences and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
From Asen.
Okay.
From when I was in his classes.
He gave me digital copies of his stuff. So
for Crystal Owls?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I have that as well. So yeah, you can go on our Facebook group, and we're going to post the video that we're going to record here in a second. And there's also pictures of all of our pets on the group. Or not the group, but the webpage. So if you want to go look at our beautiful animals. I think that's it.
And you guys check out Mary Catherine Saxon.
Yes.
Do it. It's
Okay.
an order.
All right. Remember,
It's magic.
It's magic, motherfuckers.